Okay, guys, so we are going to read the Forgotten Books of Eden, and we're reading the Secret Books of Enoch, and we're going to read chapters 31 through 68. We're going to try to finish them all today. So we'll see how long this takes. We might break it into two parts, but I'm going to try to finish them all today. Hi, whoever's watching. Okay, here we go. Chapter 31. God gives over paradise to Adam and gives him a command to see the heavens opened, and that he should see the angels singing the song of victory. Adam has life on earth, and I created a garden of Eden in the east, that he should observe the testament and keep the command. I made the heavens open to him, that he should see the angels singing the song of victory and the gloomless light. And he was continuously in paradise. And the devil understood that I wanted to create another world, because Adam was Lord on earth to rule and control it. The devil is the evil spirit of the lower places. As a fugitive, he made Satana from the heavens, as his name was Satan. Thus, he became different from the angels, but his nature did not change, his intelligence as far as his understanding of righteous and sinful things, and he understood his condemnation and the sin which he had sinned before. Therefore, he conceived thought against Adam. In such form, he entered and seduced Eva, but did not touch Adam. But I cursed ignorance, but what I had blessed previously, those I did not curse. I cursed not man, nor the earth, nor other creatures, but man's evil fruit and his works. Chapter 32. After Adam's sin, God sends him away into the earth, whence I took thee, but does not wish to ruin him for all the years to come. I said to him, Earth, thou art, and into the earth whence I took thee thou shalt go. And I will not ruin thee, but send thee whence I took thee. Then I can again take thee at my second coming. And I blessed all my creatures, visible and invisible, and Adam was 5.5 hours in paradise. And I blessed the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, on which he rested from all his work. Chapter 33. God shows Enoch the age of this world, its existence of 7,000 years, and the 8,000 is the end, neither years nor months, nor weeks, nor days. And I appointed the 8th day also, that the 8th day should be the first created after my work, and that the first 7 revolve in the form of the 7,000. And that at the beginning of the 8,000 there should be a time of not counting, endless, with neither years nor months nor weeks nor days nor hours. And now, Enoch, all that I have told thee, all that thou hast understood, all that thou hast seen of heavenly things, all that thou hast seen on earth, and all that I have written in books by my great wisdom, all these things I have devised and created from the uppermost foundation to the lower and to the end, and there is no counselor nor inheritor to my creations. I am self-eternal, not made with hands, and without change. My thought is my counselor, my wisdom and my word are made, and my eyes observe all things, how they stand here and tremble with terror. If I turn away my face, then all things will be destroyed. And apply thy mind, Enoch, and know him who is speaking to thee. And take thou the books which thou thyself hast written. And I give thee Samuel and Reguel, who led thee up, and the books, and go down to earth, and tell thy sons all that I have told thee, and all that thou hast seen, from the lower heaven up to my throne, and all the troops sorry guys, I lost my place. Tell my sons all that I have told thee, and all that thou hast seen, from the lower heaven up to the throne, and all the troops. For I created all forces, and there is none that resisteth me. or that does not subject himself to me, for all subject themselves to my monarchy and labor for my sole rule. Give them the books of the handwriting, and they will read them, and will know me for the creator of all things, and will understand how there is no other God but me. And let them distribute the books of thy handwriting, children to children, generation to generation, nations to nations. And I will give thee, Enoch, my intercessor, the archstrategy Michael, for the handwritings of thy fathers Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, and Jared thy father. Chapter 34. God convicts the idolaters and sodomitic fornicators, and therefore brings down a deluge upon them. They have rejected my commandments and my yoke. Worthless seed has come up, not fearing God, and they would not bow down to me, but have begun to bow down to vain gods, and denied my unity, and have laden the whole earth with untruths, offenses, abominable lecheries, namely one with another, and all manner of the other unclean wickednesses, which are disgusting to relate. And therefore I will bring down a deluge upon the earth, and will destroy all men, and the whole earth will crumble together into great darkness. Chapter 35. God leaves one righteous man of Enoch's tribe with his whole house, who did God's pleasure according to his will. Behold, from their seed shall rise another generation much afterwards, but of them many will be very insatiate. He who raises the generation shall reveal to them the books of thy handwriting of thy fathers, to them to whom he must point out the guardianship of the world, to the faithful men and workers of my pleasure, who do not acknowledge my name in vain. And they shall tell another generation, and those others, having read, shall be glorified thereafter more than the first. Chapter 36. God commanded Enoch to live on earth 30 days, to give instruction to his sons and to his children's children. After 30 days, he was again taken unto heaven. Now, Enoch, I give thee the term of 30 days to spend in thy house, and tell thy sons and all thy household, that all may hear from my face what is told them by thee, that they may read and understand how there is no other God but me, and that they may always keep my commandments, and begin to read and take in the books of the handwriting. And after 30 days, I, as all send my angel for thee. I shall send my angel for thee, and he will take thee from earth and from thy sons to me. Okay, chapter 37. Here God summons an angel, and the Lord called up one of the older angels, terrible and menacing, and placed him by me in appearance white as snow, and his hands like ice, having the appearance of great frost. And he froze my face, because I could not endure the terror of the Lord, just as it is not possible to endure a stove's fire, and the sun's heat, and the frost of the air. And the Lord said to me, Enoch, if thy face be not frozen here, no man will be able to behold thy face. Chapter 38. Methuselah continued to have hope and to await his father Enoch at his couch day and night. And the Lord said to those men who first led me up, let Enoch go down onto earth with you, and await him till the determined day. And they placed me by night on my couch. And Methuselah, expecting my coming, keeping watch by day and by night at my couch, was filled with awe when he heard my coming. And I told him, let all my household come together, that I tell them everything. Chapter 39. Enoch's pitiful admonition to his sons, with weeping and great lamentation, as he spoke to them. O my children, my beloved ones, hear the admonition of your father, as much as is according to the Lord's will. I have been let come to you today and announce to you, not from my lips, but from the Lord's lips, all that is and was, and all that is now, and all that will be till judgment day. For the Lord has let me come to you. You hear therefore the words of my lips, of a man made big for you. But I am one who has seen the Lord's face, like iron made to glow from fire. It sends forth sparks and burns. You look now upon my eyes, the eyes of a man big with meaning for you. But I have seen the Lord's eyes shining like the sun's rays and filling the eyes of man with awe. You see now, my children, the right hand of a man that helps you. But I have seen the Lord's right hand filling heaven as he helped me. You see the compass of my work like your own, but I have seen the Lord's limitless and perfect compass, which has no end. You hear the words of my lips as I heard the words of the Lord, like great thunder incessantly with hurling of clouds. And now, my children, hear the discourses of the Father of the earth, how fearful and awful it is to come before the face of the ruler of earth, how much more terrible and awful it is to come before the face of the Lord, the face of the ruler of heaven, the controller of quick and dead, and of the heavenly troops. Who can endure that endless pain? Chapter 40. Enoch admonishes his children truly of all things from the Lord's lips, how he saw and heard and wrote down. And now, my children, I know all things, for this is from the Lord's lips, and this my eyes have seen from beginning to end. I know all things and have written all things into books, the heavens and their end and their plenitude, and all the armies and their marchings. I have measured and described the stars, the great countless multitude of them. What man has seen their revolutions and their entrances? Not even the angels see their number, while I have written all their names. And I measured the sun's circle and measured its rays and counted the hours. I wrote down, too, all things that go over the earth. I have written the things that are nourished, and all seed sown and unsown, which the earth produces, and all plants, and every grass, and every flower, and their sweet smells, and their names, and the dwelling places of the clouds, and their composition, and their wings, and how they bear rain and raindrops. And I investigated all things, and wrote the road of the thunder and of the lightning, and they showed me the keys and their guardians, their rise, the way they go. It is let out in measure, gently, by a chain, lest by a heavy chain and violence it hurl down the angry clouds and destroy all things on earth. I wrote the treasure houses of the snow and the storehouses of the cold and the frosty airs, and I observed their seasons keyholder. He fills the clouds with them and does not exhaust the treasure houses. And I wrote the resting places of the winds, and observed and saw how their key holders bear weighing scales and measures. First, they put them in one weighing scale, then in the other the weights, and let them out according to measure cunningly over the whole earth, lest by heavy breathing they make the earth to rock. And I measured out the whole earth, its mountains and all hills, fields, trees, stones, rivers, all existing things. I wrote down the height. I wrote down, first I put on. Sorry, guys, I lost my place. I wrote down the height from earth to the seventh heaven, and downward to the very lowest hell, and the judgment place, and the very great open and weeping hell. And I saw how the prisoners are in pain, expecting the limitless judgment. And I wrote down all those being judged by the judge, and all their judgments, sentences, and all their works. Chapter 41. Of how Enoch lamented Adam's sin. And I saw all forefathers from all time with Adam and Eve, and I sighed and broke into tears and said of the ruin of their dishonor, woe is me for my infirmity and for that of my forefathers, and thought in my heart and said, blessed is the man who has not been born, or who has been born and shall not sin before the Lord's face, that he come not into this place, nor bring the yoke of this place. Chapter 42. How Enoch saw the key holders and guards of the gates of hell standing. Saw the key holders and guards of the gates of hell standing like great serpents, and their faces like extinguished lamps, and their eyes of fire, their sharp teeth. And I saw all the Lord's works, how they are right, while the works of man are some good and others bad, and in their works are known those who lie evilly. Chapter 43. Enoch shows his children how he measured and wrote out God's judgments. I, my children, measured and wrote out every work and every measure and every righteous judgment. As one year is honorable than another, so is one man more honorable than another. Some of great possessions, some for wisdom of heart, and some for particular intellect, some for cunning, one for silence of lip, another for cleanliness, one for strength, another for comeliness, one for youth, another for sharp wit, one for shape of body, another for sensibility. Let it be heard everywhere. But there is none better than he who fears God. He shall be more glorious in time to come. Chapter 44. Enoch instructs his sons that they revile not the face of man, small or great. The Lord, with his hands, having created man in the likeness of his own face, the Lord made him small and great. Whoever reviles the ruler's face and abhors the Lord's face, he has despised the Lord's face, and Tai, who vents anger, or any man without injury. The Lord's great anger will cut him down. He who spits on the face of man reproachfully will be cut down at the Lord's great judgment. Blessed is the man who does not direct his heart with malice against any man, and helps the injured and condemned, and raises the broken down, and shall do charity to the needy. Because on the day of the great judgment, every weight, every measure, and every make weight will be as in the market. That is to say, they are hung on scales and stand in the market. And everyone shall learn his own measure, and according to his measure shall take his reward. Chapter 45. God shows how he does not want from men's sacrifices, nor burnt offerings, but pure and contrite hearts. Whoever hastens to make offering before the Lord's face, the Lord for his part will hasten that offering by granting of his work. But whoever increases his lamp before the Lord's face and make not true judgment, the Lord will not increase his treasure in the realm of the highest. When the Lord demands bread or candles or flesh, cattle, or any other sacrifice, then that is nothing. But God demands pure hearts, and with all that only tests the heart of man. Chapter 46. Of how an earthly ruler does not accept from man's abominable and unclean gifts, then how much more does God abominate unclean gifts, but sends them away with wrath and does not accept his gifts? Hear, my people, and take in the words of my lips. If anyone bring any gifts to an earthly ruler and have disloyal thoughts in his heart, and the ruler know this, will he not be angry with him and not refuse his gifts and not give him over to judgment? Or if one man make himself appear good to another by deceit of tongue, but have evil in his heart, then will not the other understand the treachery of his heart and himself be condemned, since his untruth was plain to all? And when the Lord shall send a great light, then there will be judgment for the just and the unjust, and there no one shall escape notice. Chapter 47. Enoch instructs his sons from God's lips and hands them the handwriting of this book. And now, my children, lay thought on your hearts, mark well the words of your father, which are all come to you from the Lord's lips. Take these books of your father's handwriting and read them, for the books are many, and in them you will learn all the Lord's works, all that has been from the beginning of creation and will be till the end of time. And if you will observe my handwriting, you will not sin against the Lord, because there is no other except the Lord, neither in heaven nor in earth, nor in the very lowest places, nor in the one foundation. The Lord has placed the foundations in the unknown and has spread forth heavens, visible and invisible. He fixed the earth on the waters and created countless creatures. And who has counted the water and the foundation of the unfixed, or the dust of the earth, or the sand of the sea, or the drops of the rain, or the morning dew, or the wind's breathings? Who has filled earth and sea and the indissoluble winter? I cut the stars out of fire and decorated heaven and put in their midst. Okay, chapter 48. Of the sun's passage along the seven circles, that the sun go along the seven heavenly circles, which are the appointment of 182 thrones, that it go down on a short day, and again 182, that it go down on a big day, and he has two thrones on which he rests, revolving hither and thither above the thrones of the months. From the 17th day of the month Tisavan, it goes down to the month Theban. From the 17th of the Theban, it goes up. And thus it goes close to the earth. Then the earth is and makes grow its fruit. And when it goes away, then the earth is sad, and trees and all fruits have no fluorescence. All this he measured with good measurement of hours, and fixed a measure by his wisdom of the visible and the invisible. From the invisible he made all things visible, himself being invisible. Thus I make known to you, my children, and distribute the books to your children, into all your generations, and amongst the nations who shall have the sense to fear God. Let them receive them, and may they come to love them more than any food or earthly sweets, and read them and apply themselves to them. And those who understand not the Lord, who fear not God, who accept not but reject, who do not receive them, se the books, a terrible judgment awaits these. Blessed is the man who shall bear their yoke and shall drag them along, for he shall be released on the day of the great judgment. Okay, chapter 49. Enoch instructs his sons not to swear either by heaven or earth, and shows God's promise, even in the mother's womb. I swear to you, my children, but I swear not by an oath, neither by heaven, nor by earth, nor by any other creature which God created. The Lord said, there is no oath in me, nor injustice, but truth. If there is no truth in men, let them swear by the words, yeah, or else, nah. And I swear to you, yeah, that there has been no man in his mother's womb, but that already before, even to each one, there is a place prepared for the repose of the soul, and a measure fixed how much it is intended that a man be tried in this world. Yeah, children, deceive not yourselves, for there has been previously prepared a place for every soul of man. Okay, chapter 50. That is how you say it. 50. Okay, so we're in chapter 50. Of how none born on earth can remain hidden, nor his work remain concealed. But he, se God, bids us be meek, to endure attack and insult, and not to offend widows and orphans. I have put every man's work in writing, and none born on earth can remain hidden, nor his works remain concealed. I see all things. Now, therefore, my children, in patience and meekness, spend the number of your days, that you inherit endless life. Endure for the sake of the Lord every wound, every injury, every evil word and attack. If ill requitals befall you, return them not, either to neighbor or enemy, because the Lord will return them for you and be your avenger on the day of great judgment, that there be no avenging here among men. Whoever of you spends gold or silver for his brother's sake, he will receive ample treasure in the world to come. Injure not widows, nor orphans, nor strangers, lest God's wrath come upon you. Chapter 51. Enoch instructs his sons that they hide not treasure in the earth, but bids them give alms to the poor. Stretch out your hands to the poor according to your strength. Hide not your silver in the earth. Help the faithful man in affliction, and affliction will not find you in the time of your trouble. And every grievous and cruel yoke that come upon you, bear all the sake of the Lord. And thus you will find your reward in the day of judgment. It is good to go morning, midday, and evening into the Lord's dwelling for the glory of your Creator, because every breathing thing glorifies him, and every creature visible and invisible returns him praise. Chapter 52. God instructs his faithful how they are to praise his name. Blessed is the man who opens his lips in praise of God of Sabbath, and praises the Lord with his heart. Cursed every man who opens his lips for the bringing into contempt and calumny of his neighbor, because he brings God into contempt. Blessed is he who opens his lips, blessing and praising God. Cursed is he before the Lord all the days of his life, who opens his lips to curse and abuse. Blessed is he who blesses all the Lord's works. Cursed is he who brings the Lord's creation into contempt. Blessed is he who looks down and raises the fallen. Cursed is he who looks to and is eager for the destruction of what is not his. Blessed is he who keeps the foundations of his fathers made firm from the beginning. Cursed is he who perverts the decrees of his forefathers. Blessed is he who implants peace and love. Cursed is he who disturbs those that love their neighbors. Blessed is he who speaks with humble tongue and heart to all. Cursed is he who speaks peace with his tongue, while his heart there is no peace but a sword. For all these things will be laid bare in the weighing scales and in the books on the day of the great judgment. Chapter 53. Let us not say our Father is before God. He will stand forward for us on the day of judgment, for their father cannot help son, nor yet son father. And now, my children, do not say our Father is standing before God and is praying for our sins, for there is there no helper of any man who has sinned. You see how I wrote all works of every man before his creation, all that is done amongst all men for all time, and none can tell or relate to my handwriting. Because the Lord sees all the imaginings of man, how they are vain, where they lie in the treasure houses of the heart. And now, my children, mark well all the words of your Father that I tell you, lest you regret, saying, why did our Father not tell us? Chapter 54. Enoch instructs his sons so that they should hand the books to others also. At that time, not understanding this, let these books, which I have given you, be for an inheritance of your peace. Hand them to all who want them, and instruct them, that they may see the Lord's very great and marvelous works. Chapter 55. Here Enoch shows his sons, telling them with tears, my children, the hour has approached for me to go up onto heaven. Behold, the angels are standing before me. My children, behold, the day of my term and the time have approached. For the angels who shall go with me are standing before me and urge me to my departure from you. They are standing here on earth, awaiting what has been told them. For tomorrow I shall go up on to heaven, to the uppermost Jerusalem, to my eternal inheritance. Therefore, I bid you do before the Lord's face all his good pleasure. Chapter 56. Methuselah asks of his father blessing that he, S.C. Methuselah, may make him, S.C. Enoch, food to eat. Methuselah, having answered his father Enoch, said, "What is agreeable to thy eyes, Father, that I may make before thy face, that thou mayst bless our dwellings and thy sons, and that thy people may be made glorious through thee? And then that thou mayst depart thus, as the Lord said." Enoch answered to his son Methuselah and said, "Hear, child, from the time when the Lord anointed me with the ointment of his glory, there has been no food in me, and my soul remembers not earthly enjoyment, neither do I want anything earthly." Okay, chapter 57. Enoch bade his son Methuselah to summon all his brethren. "My child Methuselah, summon all thy brethren in our household and the elders of the people, that I may talk to them and depart as I planned for me." And Methuselah made haste and summoned his brethren, Regem, Rimmon, Uchan, Chermon, Gedad, and all the elders of the people before the face of his father Enoch. And he blessed them and said to them, chapter 58, Enoch's instruction to his sons. "Listen to me, my children, today. In those days when the Lord came down on the earth for Adam's sake and visited all his creatures, which he created himself, after all these he created Adam, and the Lord called all the beasts of the earth, all the reptiles, and all the birds that soar in the air, and brought them all before the face of our father Adam. And Adam gave the names to all things living on earth. And the Lord appointed him ruler over all, and subjected to him all things under his hands, and made them dumb, and made them dull, that they be commanded of man, and be in subjection and obedience to him. Thus also the Lord created every man lord over all his possessions. The Lord will not judge a single soul of beast for man's sake, but adjudges the souls of Enon to their beasts in this world, for men have a special place. And as every soul of man is according to number, similarly beasts will not perish, nor all souls of beasts which the Lord created, till the great judgment, and they will accuse man if he feed them ill. Okay, we did chapter 58, so this is 59. Enoch instructs his sons wherefore they may not touch beef because of what comes from it. "Whoever defiles the soul of beast defiles his own soul. For man brings clean animals to make sacrifice for sin, that he may have cure of his soul. And if they bring for sacrifice clean animals and birds, man has cure. He cures his soul. All is given you for food. Bind it by the 4 feet, that is to make good the cure. He cures his soul. But whoever kills beast without wounds kills his own soul and defiles his own flesh. And he who does any beast injury whatsoever in secret, it is evil practice, and he defiles his own soul." Chapter 60. "He who does injury to soul of man does injury to his own soul, and there is no cure for his flesh, nor pardon for all time. How it is not fitting to kill man neither by weapon nor by tongue. He who works the killing of a man's soul kills his own soul and kills his own body, and there is no cure for him for all time. He who puts a man in any snare shall stick in it himself, and there is no cure for him for all time. He who puts a man in any vessel, is retribution will not be wanting at the great judgment for all time. He who works crookedly or speaks evil against any soul will not make justice for himself for all time." Okay, chapter 61. Enoch instructs his sons to keep themselves from injustice and often to stretch forth hands to the poor and to give a share of their labors. And now, my children, keep your hearts from every injustice which the Lord hates, just as a man asks something for his own soul from God. So let him do to every living soul, because I know all things, how in the great time to come are many mansions prepared for men, good for the good and bad for the bad, without number many. Blessed are those who enter the good houses, for in the bad houses there is no peace, no return from them. Hear, my children, small and great, when man puts a good thought in his heart, brings gifts from his labors before the Lord's face, and his hands made them not, then the Lord will turn away his face from the labor of his hand, and he, man, cannot find the labor of his hands. And if his hands made it, but his heart murmur, and his heart cease not making murmur incessantly, he has not any advantage. Okay, chapter 62 of how it is fitting to bring one's gift with faith, because there is no repentance after death. Blessed is the man who in his patience brings his gifts with faith before the Lord's face, because he will find forgiveness of sins. But if he take back his words before the time, there is no repentance for him. And if the time pass and he do not of his own what is promised, there is no repentance after death. Because every work which man does before the time, is all deceit before men and sin before God. Okay, chapter 63 of how not to despise the poor, but to share with them equally, lest thou be murmured against before God. When man clothes the naked and fills the hungry, he will find reward from God. But if his heart murmur, he commits a double evil, a ruin of himself and of that which he gives. And for him there will be no finding of reward on account of that. And if his own heart is filled with his food, and his own flesh as he clothed with his clothing, he commits contempt and forfeit all his endurance of poverty, and will not find reward of his good deeds. Every proud and magniloquent man is hateful to the Lord, and every false speech clothed in untruth, it will be cut with the blade of the sword of death and thrown into the fire and shall burn for all time. Chapter 54 of how the Lord calls up Enoch, and people took counsel to go and kiss him at the place called Achuzan. When Enoch had spoken these words to his sons, all people far and near heard how the Lord was calling Enoch. They took counsel together. Let us go and kiss Enoch. And 2,000 men came together and came to the place Achuzan, where Enoch was, and his sons. And the elders of the people, the whole assembly, came and bowed down and began to kiss Enoch, and said to him, Our father Enoch, be thou blessed of the Lord, the eternal ruler, and now bless thy sons and all the people, that he may be glorified today before thy face. For thou shalt be glorified before the Lord's face for all time, since the Lord chose thee rather than all men on earth, and designated thee writer of all creation, visible and invisible, and redeemer of the sins of man, and helper of thy household. Chapter 55. chapter 65 of Enoch's instruction of his sons. And Enoch answered all his people, saying, Hear, my children, before that all creatures were created, the Lord created the visible and invisible things. And as much time as there was and went past, understand that after that he created man in the likeness of his own form, and put into him eyes to see and ears to hear and heart to reflect and intellect wherewith to deliberate. And the Lord saw all man's works and created all his creatures and divided time. From time he fixed the years, and from the years he appointed the months. And from the months he appointed the days, and of the days he appointed 7. And in those he appointed the hours, measured them out exactly, that man might reflect on time and count years, months, and hours, their alternation, beginning and the end, and that he might count his own life from the beginning until death, and reflect on his sin, and write his work, bad and good, because no work is hidden before the Lord, that every man might know his works and never transgress all his commandments, and keep my handwriting from generation to generation. When all creation, visible and invisible, as the Lord created it, shall end, then every man goes to the great judgment, and then all time shall perish. And the years, and thenceforward there will be neither months nor days nor hours. They will be stuck together and will not be counted. There will be one aeon, and all the righteous who shall escape the Lord's great judgment shall be collected in the great aeon. For the righteous, the great aeon will begin, and they will live eternally. And then, too, there will be amongst them neither labor, nor sickness, nor humiliation, nor anxiety, nor heat, need, nor violence, nor night, nor darkness, but great light. And they shall have a great indestructible wall, and a paradise bright and incorruptible, for all corruptible things shall pass away, and there will be eternal life. Okay, chapter 66. Enoch instructs his sons and all the elders of the people how they are to walk with terror and trembling before the Lord, and serve him alone, and not bow down to idols, but to God who created heaven and earth and every creature, and to his image. And now, my children, keep your souls from all injustice, such as the Lord hates. Walk before his face with terror and trembling, and serve him alone. Bow down to the true God, not to dumb idols, but bow down to his picture, and bring all just offerings but before the Lord's face. The Lord hates what is unjust. For the Lord sees all things. When man takes thought in his heart, then he counsels the intellects, and every thought is always before the Lord, who made firm the earth and put all creatures on it. If you look to heaven, the Lord is there. If you take thought of the seas deep and all the under earth, the Lord is there. For the Lord created all things. Bow not down to things made by man, leaving the Lord of all creation, because no work can remain hidden before the Lord's face. Walk, my children, in long suffering, in meekness, honesty, and provocation, in grief, in faith, and in truth, in reliance on promises, in illnesses, in abuse, in wounds, in temptation, in nakedness, in privation, loving one another, till you go out from this age of ills, that you become inheritors of endless time. Blessed are the just who shall escape the great judgment, for they shall shine forth more than the sun sevenfold. For in this world the seventh part is taken off from all light, darkness, food, enjoyment, sorrow, paradise, torture, fire, frost, and other things. He put all down in writing, that you might read and understand. Okay, chapter 67. The Lord let out darkness onto earth and covered the people and Enoch, and he was taken up on high, and light came again in the heaven. When Enoch had talked to the people, the Lord sent out darkness onto the earth, and there was darkness, and it covered those then standing with Enoch. And they took Enoch up on to the highest heaven, where the Lord is, And he received him and placed him before his face. And the darkness went off from the earth, and light came again. And the people saw and understood not how Enoch had been taken, and glorified God, and found a roll in which was traced the invisible God, and all went to their homes. Chapter 38, the last chapter of the secret books of Enoch. Enoch was born on the 6th day of the month Tisvan and lived 365 years. He was taken up to heaven on the 1st day of the month Tisvan and remained in heaven 60 days. He wrote all these signs of all creation, which the Lord created, and wrote 366 books, and handed them over to his sons, and remained on earth 30 days, and was again taken up to heaven on the 6th day of the month Tisvan, on the very day and hour when he was born. As every man's nature in this life is dark, so are also his conception, birth, and departure from this life. At what hour he was conceived, at that hour he was born, and at that hour too he died. Methuselah and his brethren, all the sons of Enoch, made haste and erected an altar at the place called Achuzan, whence and where Enoch had been taken up to heaven. And they took sacrificial oxen and summoned all people and sacrificed the sacrifice before the Lord's face. All people, the elders of the people and the whole assembly, came to the feast, brought gifts to the sons of Enoch. And they made a great feast, rejoicing and making merry 3 days, praising God who had given them such a sign through Enoch, who had found favor with him, and that they should hand it on to their sons from generation to generation, from age to age. Amen. Okay, guys, that is it for the secret books of Enoch. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.